Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
You have found the Sports IQ, and we're certainly glad you did. Larry Smith here, producer Tony, editor Josh. Glad you're here with us. A great show coming up here as we're getting ready for college football. Week number 3 on the calendar. Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun, a friend of the show. Last time we talked to Kevin, it was a party in Gainesville, right? They just won the NCAA basketball championship, and Todd Golden is the golden child, and et cetera. Different feel right now in Gainesville after last week losing at USF. We heard from Joey Johnson yesterday on USF and the Bulls, and they're an amazing start and get a chance to make history on Saturday. We'll get the other side of that coin from Kevin. And a bit later, our friend Andrew Monaco. He's a great voice of the Texas A&M Aggies. Huge top 25 game in South Bend this weekend. It is A&M visiting Notre Dame. One of the games we're really looking forward to. One of the mini games, of course. And we'll talk with our friend Andrew. Andrew, we can't wait to talk with him as well coming up. It's just a great show. Okay, listen. It's Wednesday. It is Year of Our Lord 2025, September 10th. So we are getting very close now to the end of the baseball season. And that means every game now is crucial. We've got the 4-game showdown with the Mets and Phillies in the NL East. Not going the way the Mets would have liked. Kyle Schwarber hit his 50th home run last night. Ranger Suarez struck out a career-high 12 over 6 shutout innings. I mean, he was masterful. Philadelphia over the Mets 9-3. So by winning the first 2 games of this 4-game series, the Phillies have now ballooned their lead over New York to 9 games with just 17 games left in the regular season. This is not going well for the Mets. Needed to get some wins here. They've got to win these last 2 games to try to even have a shot. If they don't, it may be game over in the East. New York dropping its 4th straight overall right now. Again, maybe set sights on the wild card right now. The lead over the Giants has shrunk to 2 games in that. Speaking of the Giants, Willie Adams, a 3-run homer in the first inning. Robbie Ray remaining unbeaten, pitching against his former team, Giants over Arizona 5-3. Staying out west, the Dodgers broke out their hitting sticks. Teoscar Hernandez went yard twice. Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman also homered. Dodgers over the Rockies 7-2. Is there anything better than a trip to Coors Field when your bats have been in a slumber? I mean, really. San Diego thus needed a win to keep pace in the NL West, but the Reds had other ideas. Tyler Stevenson, a 2-run homer to the left with 2 outs in the 9th. 5 innings after being robbed of one by Fernando Tatis Jr. in right. Cincinnati over the Padres 4-2. So the Padres, they now fall 2 games behind the Dodgers. And Mets fans, again, now you have the suddenly hot Reds within 3 games of that final wild card spot in the National League. Things getting a little crazy. In Atlanta, Cubs getting 6+ strong innings from Rookie of the Year candidate Cade Horton. Chicago over the Braves 6-1. Horton allowed just 1 run on 4 hits with no walks. He has an ERA of 2.70 that leads all rookies and his 10 wins also tops among National League rookies. Cubbies picked up a game on the Brewers last night. Milwaukee dropped a 5-4 decision to the Rangers. Michael Hellman with a 2-run homer with his bat used his glove to make a leaping catch in the outfield to take away a 2-run homer and send the Brewers to their 5th loss in 9 games. Cubs still, though, 6.5 back of the Brewers in the NL Central. A couple of American League scores for you. Detroit sending 14 hitters to the plate in the 7th, scored 9 runs to break open a close game with the Yankees. They cruised to the 12-2 win. Fernando Cruz and Mark Leiter Jr. bringing nothing but gas with them out of the bullpen for the Yankees. They faced 8 batters, gave up 4 hits and 4 walks. The Yankees, by the way, the Jays used the Yankees' bad night in the pen to add a game to their lead in the AL East. They beat the AL West leading Astros 4-3. Tyler Heineman drove in the winning run of the 10th off loser Craig Kimbrell. Jays lead over New York now 3 games. Boston kept pace and moved into a tie for second with New York on the basis of their 6-0 win over the A's. Connolly early struck out 11 to tie the Boston Red Sox record for a major league debut. Imagine striking out 11 in your first major league game. In case you're wondering, it was Don Ossey's 11 strikeouts against Milwaukee in July of 1977 that early tied for the most by a Red Sox pitcher in a debut. College football, let's talk Florida Gators. Kevin Brockway, friend of the show from the Gainesville Sun, Gannett Network, joining us here. Kevin, good to see you. You know, we didn't mean to reach out to you and talk with you after bad things happen. It's been such a good run here for the past several months for Florida. And we did talk with you, basketball. We talked here in the offseason as well. Let's just ask the obvious dumb question. How are things in Gainesville this week?
Tumultuous, right? It's never a dull moment around here. I think there were a lot of expectations coming into year 4 under Billy Napier. There was a thought that the program had turned the corner a little bit. You had 8 starters back in offense, defense, budding star quarterback in DJ Lagway, but they really laid an egg against USF. A lot of missed opportunities in the red zone in the first half that bled into the second half, and again, some untidy football. 11 penalties for 103 yards. A national incident involving a player spitting, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, in Brendan Bett, that was a crucial penalty in USF's game-winning drive. Players not getting off the field in time, it really, I think, frustrated the Florida fan base because they thought that in year 4, a lot of these things would be cleaned up.
Well, that's the thing is that you schedule, and listen, take nothing away from USF. They beat a good Boise State team the week before. They get the test against Miami this week. We just talked with one of their insiders a couple of days ago. Obviously, in Tampa, they're euphoric times 5, right? I mean, it's huge what they're doing there. But to your point, this is not the way you want to start a season, and not the way you want to go into a gauntlet with traveling at number 3 LSU this week, then at number 5 Miami next week. The number 7 Texas comes in, Texas A&M. You get Mississippi State, and then it's Georgia. I mean, all of a sudden, to your point, if you're part of the fan base, you're going from this is great to, oh no, hide under the covers.
Exactly. And, the other issue, too, is DJ Lagway does not look right. Now, I don't know how much of that can be, blamed on, his offseason issues, obviously the shoulder and the core issues, the limited time in practice, kind of the tack that they took. But they discuss mental reps a lot of time in the film, but he's still missing guys that are open, which is a disappointment in the development. It hasn't been there, or it could be something physical, but DJ Lagway is not playing to the level that he played last year. And that's another huge concern going forward. They have to get him to be the kind of quarterback that certainly Florida fans saw in glimpses last year as a true freshman when he went 6-1 as a starter and threw the ball downfield with uncanny accuracy and regularity. It's just not happening right now in a lot of ways for DJ Lagway.
Wow. And so I'm sure the coaches are being fully transparent in terms of what's going on with him, because coaches do that. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to hide anything from the media or other coaches or anybody else. Lagway is one thing, but I mean, what happened in this game? And if you're Florida, how do you fix that in time for, again, not just, like I said, not just this week, but you've got some real serious tests coming up here in the next few weeks if you're Florida.
Well, the evidence suggests that they've rallied around Billy Napier before, right? Last year they started 1-2. They finished well. So I think this is a group that, I think they genuinely care about Billy Napier. They're going to want to play hard for him. They're going to want to go out and give a good showing. And but you've got 2 opportunities here on the road against top 10 teams, and that could flip the script rather quickly if you can pull off an upset in one of these games, if not both of these games, right, to make up for the USF loss. So I think the opportunity is there for Florida to show the kind of team it can be. But I would say probably in golf parlance, they shot an 80, they shot a 90 in that USF game, and for them to for them to beat a team like LSU or Miami on the road, they're going to have to shoot back-to-back 60s or 70s there. They're going to have to play at their best level, at their optimum level, in order to pull off those upsets. So that really begins in practice. That's what Billy Napier is preaching, cleaning up some of the things that that need to be cleaned up, because this is a senior offensive line with 4 returning starters. This is a defensive line that had 39 sacks last year. They only have 1 through 2 games this year. So, and there are some injuries, particularly in the defensive line. Caleb Banks, he might be coming back this week. I think that would help the defensive line immeasurably. Dallas Wilson, a star freshman receiver that was really good in the spring game, might be close to coming back too. That can help the offense. But ultimately, it's about them playing their best brand of football.
Yeah. And this may be a crazy take, but I'll throw it out there. And if you shoot me down, I'm not offended by this. Florida comes in, we talked 2 years ago and going into last year that Billy Napier, there was no seat hotter than his, right? I mean, it's like with this schedule, there's no way. I mean, there's maybe 4 wins here and he's going to be out. Well, like you said, they rally. Lagway finds his groove, make a bowl game. I mean, great offseason. The spring was great. Everything is good. So you come in ranked, I think they were 10th, ranked in the preseason. Could this also been a bit of maybe smelling yourself a little too much as a team collectively? I mean, the swagger's in it, you're number 10, and you got a team that outworked you and outplayed you. Was there maybe some of that? Because this is not, even though we know the Florida program is one of the best programs in the country. The championships, all the things that have happened, the wins, they back that up. But it's also a program that has not had great success in the past 2 or 3 years. So you don't have that culture now that you might have had before. And so being ranked in the top 10, being ranked at all, maybe a new feeling. Was there some of that maybe that just kind of, you kind of smell on yourself and got caught off guard?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a leadership issue there. You thought that you had a guy like Jake Slaughter, an All-American center, that could, DJ Lagway is still kind of young to be a leader on that offense. And defensively, you have guys like Tyreek Sapp that I think is a guy that can kind of rally the troops. And he talked a little bit post-game. He was very emotional in the locker room after the USF loss. But ultimately, yeah, it comes down to, putting in the work during the week, practicing well, and the urgency. And it's the coaching staff, too. I think, the other issue is this. And when you see the mistakes from the sidelines on game day, it gets to a point. I think players will follow you to the hilt if you have a plan and the plan works. And I think that this was another step back in Billy Napier's plan, whether it's working or not. And Billy's got to win them back over with a good game plan against LSU and have the players execute it. Because I think, some of those sideline issues, again, that USF game were glaring.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you've got an LSU team that we heard going into week 1, folks in Baton Rouge telling us it's the best Tigers team that Brian Kelly has had in his 4 seasons. They go out and get the tough win on the road at Clemson, so they're backing that up right now. How do you see Florida attacking this LSU team that's improved, and they've got their sights set on an SEC championship and well beyond?
Yeah, I think that they've improved immeasurably defensively, and it starts with the defensive coordinator, Blake Barber, Kevin People is a very good defensive line coach that I knew from my time covering Indiana, has added a lot. They went in the transfer portal, and they really have addressed the defense. They've improved immeasurably there. I think offensively, though, Garrett Nussmeier, they're off to a little bit of a disappointing start in terms of that aspect of it. So I think for Florida, when you look at the success they had last year against LSU in the Swamp, they really got after him. They sacked him. They hurried him. I think that's got to be a similar game plan. You got to really go after Garrett Nussmeier. And this is the first time that Florida will be facing kind of a stationary quarterback, not a dual threat. Because you got to give a lot of credit to Byron Brown, too. He made some really big plays and some big scrambles in that game for USF. And, maybe facing that more stationary quarterback might help Florida in a game like this because they really need to get more pressure and more from that edge rusher. There's a lot of good edge rushers in that room. And I think they've gotten, George Gums and, LJ McCray got hurt. He's down, but they have a freshman, Jane Woods, and Aaron Childs are very high. And they have to really get after the quarterback here.
Yeah. Okay. Take off your reporter hat, put your coach's hat on. And I know it's only 1 week at a time, but we talk about the gauntlet. How do you maintain this? I guess you really do have to take it just one game at a time. You can't look too far ahead because you could wind up, instead, all of a sudden you're 2-5 and you're calling moving companies. I mean, how do you kind of keep the train on the rails, if you will, for this week, next week, and the next several weeks coming up?
Well, they might be calling moving companies if it's 1-3. I think he's, he's got to get through this month first. But based on some of the things that I'm hearing, but I think, I think LSU becomes, the primary focus. It's the first SEC game. You've got to, again, devise a really good game plan. Hope that DJ Lagway gets back on track a little bit, gets a little more accurate. He's kind of missing some throws high here. There's been a lot of heat on the play calling by Billy Napier, but I'm seeing receivers that are open that DJ is missing, and kind of going for the home run. A lot of teams playing too high safety against them too, trying to take away that deep ball. Also, they've made adjustments, so DJ's got to kind of counter adjust there and kind of take what the defense gives as well a little bit there. And they got to get the run game going. And Jaden Ball is a very talented guy, and he was very good on the first drive, but didn't carry that over to the rest of the game. And they kind of went away to him and went to Jacoby Jackson a little bit as a second back, and he's got to step it up too. And if they can do that and create some plays on defense, create some turnovers, and keep from turning the ball over, I think that they have the potential, to be in the game in the fourth quarter against LSU, and then it comes down to making a play or two.
Yeah, you alluded to it. Obviously, again, Napier in the hot seats almost since he arrived. After the game, were you hearing some of those things from boosters, whatever, that they're already kind of considering making that move to get him out? Are you hearing that right now?
I think, but I do think Scott Strickland, has a measured approach. And I think, the culture here is that he has the final say. It always has been that, and has been that with Jeremy Foley too. So I think they still feel like, hey, look, football has to be played, but I do think that, for momentum's sake of the program, he has to prove this month that, the rest of the season is salvageable. You know what I mean? Because there were higher expectations this year. There were 9-10 win expectations. And, listen, that could still happen, and maybe USF goes to Miami and upsets Miami, and maybe they are this group of 5 team that you never know. I go back to basketball parlance one year when Florida lost at Loyola Marymount, and I thought, this is a terrible loss. And Loyola Marymount went to the Final Four that year. Same thing with FAU when they upset Florida. This time of year, you don't always know, how it's going to unfold and if it's a bad loss or not. But right now, certainly a lot of Florida fans are grumbling because, they don't like losing to an in-state school, particularly a school like USF that had never beaten them before.
Yeah, and considered a lesser program, if you will, to your point. But, we've said so many times, and I know you agree, this is the era of NIL and the portal, and it's not the same game. I mean, it is, you can put together a team and with the right coaching staff and go out and teams can be competitive in any given Saturday. And we saw that with USF coming through. Here's a team that was, they're favored to win the American, but what does that mean in the big picture in Division I, right? I mean, in the college football playoff era, well, turns out they've got a couple of wins now, and they walk in with a little bit of a swagger into Miami on Friday or on Saturday.
Well, Alex Golish is doing a heck of a job with that program, and he came from Tennessee, he came from Josh Heupel, and their tempo obviously caused Florida problems with the substitutions and so forth. So give him a lot of credit because he's really got that program on a nice trajectory. And if they can go down and beat Miami too, I mean, that would really be something. And I think they've done a nice job. But there were, as Billy Napier said, a lot of self-inflicted wounds on the Florida end that contributed. I mean, the margin of victory was 2 points. That was the, botch snap over the head of the punter, Tommy Doman, the safety. That's basically the margin of the game. So plus that defensive penalty, that substitution led to 3 points for USF. So Florida contributed to it too. They made their share of mistakes, and you can't afford to do that in the SEC. Otherwise, you could get buried in a game like that if you make those kind of mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, always good to talk to you, my friend. Enjoy the road ahead. We know it's going to be interesting because it always is, and you're always there to tell us all about it in such great fashion. Kevin, thanks so much for your time. We'll talk with you soon.
Larry, pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Kevin Brockway, once again, of the Gainesville Sun, also the USA Today Network, doing just a fantastic job, as always, covering Gator sports for us. It is Florida at number 3 LSU, 7:30 Eastern time kick, and that's on ABC coming up Saturday night. One of the many games we'll be watching here this weekend. All right, more Sports IQ. Stay with us. It's coming up next.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right. For about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now. 800-215-0341. 800-215-0341. 800-215-0341. That's 800-215-0341.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Welcome back here to the show. Great again to talk with Kevin about what's going on down there in Florida. Some other college football news for you. By the way, we've got some NFL stadium news coming up. We'll talk about that after we chat with Andrew Monaco. But college football, very large note, or should we say very large check from the world of college football. University of Illinois, one of their alums, he's a businessman, Larry Geese, made a $100 million donation to the Illinois Athletic Department, and he'll have the Fighting Illini's football stadium renamed in his family's honor. Geese, that $100 million gift is the largest in Illinois athletics history. It's believed to be among the biggest ever given to a college athletic department. It also comes less than a month after Kansas received a historic $300 million gift for its football stadium project and athletic programs. Geese made the donation in memory of his late father, Larry Geese Sr., who served in the United States Army. Illinois football stadium, known as Memorial Stadium since it was christened back in 1924 by the legendary Red Grange, will now be known moving forward as Geese Memorial Stadium and will continue to honor soldiers like Geese's father. Now, we know that in Kansas, they use that to renovate the stadium. That's the rumor in Illinois. There is no announcement made by their athletic director on Tuesday, but there's some buzz that they may do an expansion. They may gut the interior and redo it. We've seen that happen before at different places. So again, we will see what happens. But $100 million. And none to me. That's very cool. Great for them. Okay, listen. WNBA, getting down now to the final few days in the regular season. In Seattle, Erica Wheeler with 17 points and hit the go-ahead shot with 18.5 seconds left. The Storm beating Golden State 74-73, and they finally secure the final WNBA playoff spot. Listen, they were down most of this game. They had to rally to get the win. And hold off LA because, again, as we mentioned before, the Sparks, they own the tiebreaker if these two finished even. So Seattle now 23-21, clinching the 20th postseason appearance in franchise history, and they will move on. And if they stay in the 8th spot, they'll be facing Minnesota in round 1. Tough task there. In other games, LA Sparks beating Phoenix, but again with a Seattle win, the Sparks eliminated from the playoffs. What a huge second half run they made. De'Erica Hamby scoring 16 of her 25 points in the fourth quarter. Ray Burrell had a career-high 20 points off the bench to lead L.A. By the way, the Mercury will face the Liberty now, the defending champs in the first round of the playoffs. That will start Sunday in Phoenix. Last night, New York's Emma Miesemann scoring 19 points. Brianna Stewart added 14. New York beating Washington 75-66. Boy, the Mystics really fell off in the last 4 weeks of the season. For the first time since early in the season, New York had its entire roster available. Sabrina Ionescu returned after missing a few games with a toe injury. Niara Sabali played in her first game since July 16th as she recovered from a knee issue. But again, New York, that's with Sabrina back, it's only the 7th time since June 15th that the big three was all in the starting lineup together, Ionescu, Jones, and Stewart. So you wonder why the defending champs just couldn't find any kind of consistency because they weren't healthy. They never had the team together. So if they all come together, remember, they started the season off, I think they began like 9-0 to start the season before injuries came in. If they come together and play together, they're a very dangerous team sitting there at the 5 spot and starting on the road against the Mercury. Now, the hottest team in the league continues to be the Las Vegas Aces. Jewel Lloyd became the 16th player to reach 6,000 points. She scored 15 to help extend the Aces' winning streak to 15 games, 92-61 over the Chicago Sky. That put Vegas in contention for the 2nd seed in the WNBA playoffs. They're now 29-14. They can clinch that seed and home court advantage through at least the first 2 rounds if they win at LA tomorrow night, or if Atlanta loses at Connecticut tonight. Las Vegas owns the tiebreaker over the Dream. In Indy, Kelsey Mitchell scored 18 points. The Fever wrapping up the regular season with an 83-72 win over the league-leading Minnesota Lynx. They were resting MVP candidate Nafisa Collier. Indiana, 24-20 on the season, scored the first 10 points of the game. led by as many as 24. Impressive performance without Caitlin Clark again, who's done for the season, played only 13 games. And again, she will not be in the playoffs for them either. Some notes from the NFL quickly for you. A kicker's life is one of the highs and lows, as well as for 49ers, Jake Moody. This is one of those low points. He missed 2 field goals in Sunday's season-opening win against Seattle. The third-year kicker missed a 27-yard field goal in the second quarter, had a 36-yarder blocked late in the third quarter. He did hit on a 32-yarder in the third to tie the game at 10. But he's out. To replace him, the Niners are signing former Carolina Panthers kicker Eddie Pinheiro. One of the bigger games this weekend, a Super Bowl rematch between the Eagles and Chiefs. Philadelphia defensive tackle Jalen Carter fined $75,000 or make that $57,000 for spitting on Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott prior to the first play from scrimmage during Thursday night's NFL season opener. That's the league announcement on Tuesday. He was immediately ejected from the contest, and the NFL is handling his ejection as effectively a 1-game suspension or time served. Carter will not face further punishment from the league. He is eligible to play Sunday versus Kansas City. And the Packers opened the checkbook, by the way, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, giving wide receiver Christian Watson a 1-year extension worth $13.25 million. The deal keeps Watson with the franchise through the 2026 season. Okay, keep it here. Our chat with the great, wonderful, knowledgeable, and very talented Andrew Monaco, voice of the Texas A&M Aggies. That's up next.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
You're locked in to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
One of the big games we're looking at here this weekend. I mean, you guys listen to me every day, right? I mean, is there not a big game I don't look forward to? I mean, I look forward to all of them. Only thing I hate is that I'm not, can't watch them all. I don't know if I share this with you guys, but literally the last 2 weeks, I spent 5 hours each Saturday in the airport because I wanted to watch Texas, Ohio State. So I get the airport my flight's not till 5, but I get in at noon because I want to see the game. And then last week my flight was at 4, but I get in at noon. I want to watch Illinois Duke. So, it's like, I know people in Atlanta, like there's this guy comes in and he just sits like with his laptop, like at the bar, like he's just watching football. Like who does that? So anyway, somebody who's almost he's almost as crazy as I am. Good friend, Andrew Monaco. He's voice of the Texas A&M Aggies. Big game this weekend, Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Andrew, my friend, good to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Larry, good to talk with you. Just replace airport with booth. I probably get there too early because I'm watching the TV before our game. So I know exactly where you're coming from.
Exactly. But it's a good life. And man, you guys have got a great game this weekend. First off, let's talk about Mike Elko, year 2. We've been discussing the Aggies, you and I, for a long time. And this it feels like, boy, he's jumped in, did all the right things in year 1. And to credit to him in this era of change in college football, he's taken that in year 1 and has carried it over now in the early goings in year 2.
Yeah, and then I think it's one of the key pieces for Mike Elko, even just the 2 years at Duke, retaining the players that he did into the second season. Now, we had a little bit of an insight in that in his 4 years as defensive coordinator, in that his guys didn't leave. And you could see the improvement year 1 to year 2. One, it's that, I'm going to use the old Spurs line from Greg Popovich, the corporate knowledge that everybody had to learn last year, even guys like Torian York and Cassius Howe. Now they get to be the leaders. So they've come back. They can lead. It's player fed. It's they can talk to the younger guys. It's not always top down. And then you see that leadership emerge. I think that is such a key for Mike Elko, with the trust that they have to use. I'll be honest, they use the NIL to keep guys who may have gone to the NFL, and that's the dream. Mm-hmm. Can you stay one more year? Bet on yourself, give yourself a better shot at the NFL. Obviously, that's what you want. But now for these 12 games or 13 or 14 or 15, if you're fortunate enough to keep winning, stick around at Texas A&M to make something happen. Yeah, his retention to me is, in an era where we love the shiny new things in a transfer portal, I think retention becomes very important.
And I think that's something that we're going to see moving forward, because again, we're still in this flux of change and things are beginning to settle, but not going to settle for quite a while. I've heard that more than once here early in this season of other coaches doing the same, of immediately after the season identifying those players maybe going to the NFL, and let's lock those players up first. And I think that may be a component that may be copied among successful programs, that you've got to keep those guys in place, not let them leave in the portal, convince them not to go to the NFL, give yourself one more year, and that helps your program. And in a situation like A&M, if they do what we think you guys can do, that'll pay off for them.
And I think it gives you a better chance to do what you want to do, as opposed to constantly the changeover. Now, the portal, what you do is, if you have a position group that you need to upgrade, yeah, that might be what you do in the portal. But Larry, I still think that the same thing applies from years ago. You still have to stack your roster. Then if something happens, players leave or there's injuries in that offseason, you go to the portal to not create the entire roster, patch that roster, if you will. I'm going to add one more thing, and this is one of the proposals of having, instead of having 2 periods for the portal, and Mike Elko brought this up earlier this week, was, look, we're dealing now with cap management in college football. That's just the way it is. So how do you financially manage the cap if you spend all your money in December? What are you doing now when it opens again in February, or the second cap? If there's now a 10-day window, and this might help make decisions for players as well. Again, I think because so many things have happened in college athletics, I've jokingly said that, you know what, we need this unintended consequences. Like, this is great, the early signing period. That's awesome. Portal, awesome. But now we're extending the college football playoff. So teams now in the playoff, are their guys going to leave or not? Are they missing that portal window? It's those types of things now that kind of overlap. You're right. I think we're finally getting out of the Wild West to, maybe that road gets paved a little bit, and maybe the saloon looks a little better. I don't know. Slowly but surely it's starting to happen that way. But I think that's one thing that I don't want to forget. If I talk about the, retaining players, I want to talk about the relationship that he has, that these players want to be back. They're not coming back because they're going to get paid X amount. They want to be back here at Texas A&M, play for him, play for his coaches, and make something special happen.
Yeah, and I think that's where the culture comes in. And it feels like, from the outside looking in, and you can speak more to this, that the culture now under Mike Elko, far different than it was under Jimbo Fisher. Not saying it was bad under Jimbo, but it's different right now. And I think that's the first thing, is you build the culture. And then, like you said, you put some money out there and kids say, well, look, I can go squeeze out every single penny if I go to school X, or I can stay here where I love the coaches, I love the environment, I love the campus, et cetera, everything else is good. I get some dollars as well. Maybe not it's max over there, but if I stick with this in the program, those dollars are coming in the NFL later on. So I agree with you totally. It's exciting to see what's going on there. Your new AD, Trev Albert's coming in, good friend of ours, producer Tony. We're working with him, of course, at CNN, as we've talked about. And so thrilled to see that. Let's start with this weekend right now. And coming in, a couple of wins. The Aggies took care of business like they're supposed to against Texas San Antonio and Utah State. Now you head up to South Bend, NBC game that night, taking on a Notre Dame team that lost to Miami, but wasn't a bad loss. I thought the Irish played very well, and they were a very good top 10 team.
You looked at them start slow, finish really fast. Look, we all love these matchups to start college football. Those are the marquee matchups for that. Did you see enough? Well, Texas A&M is going to have to see enough, right? A quarterback in CJ Carr who, you see exactly why he was given the keys to that car. he was electric at times, and that's what you look at. They still have what Mike Elko thinks is as good a 1-2 punch at running back, especially led by Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price as well. He thought it was Chubb and Michelle when he coached against Georgia. That's how good that 1-2 punch is, and he raves about the secondary for Notre Dame. This becomes, I think, the third consecutive week for Texas A&M where they're going to have to adjust on the fly. Reason why I say that, UTSA in week 1, you don't know a lot about team. You get a tendency, but you don't know, and you deal with transfers. Week 2, Utah State, Bronco Mendenhall. Larry, I think it was 69 new players on a roster. So you're looking about where they were from, brand new coordinators, where did they come from? And then 1 week with Notre Dame. What Mike did say, and Marcus Freeman said the same thing on Monday, look, teams play to their identity. And Mike knows how Marcus Freeman teams will play. A little bit of the unknown, Chris Ash, not Al Golden, as defensive coordinator. But a lot of those players are still there. So he said, look, you look and see what they did so well, because you're not going to just throw it out and try brand new. That coordinators, you're not going to last long if you do that. Mm-hmm. There are some tendencies, but you also look and see what might Chris Ash bring that he's done with his successful tenures in the past. For Texas A&M, this isn't week 1 under the Mike Elko era. This is now year 2, week 3. There were a lot of good things that you saw in the first 2 weeks, and some that are going to have to be better if you want to upset Notre Dame on the road.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I know you watched the Notre Dame Miami game as I did. What do you give me your crystal ball, and as you prepare your notes for this game on Saturday night to make your call, what do you see Notre Dame changing from what they did against Miami down there in that fantastic Sunday night game down there in Miami Gardens? What do you think that different you'll see from the Irish Saturday night than maybe you saw in that game?
I think they're going to try to run more. I think they're going to try to establish the running game. And Love hurt the Aggies last year with a long run in a game that was still decided. That was a 1-score game for a long time. I think they're going to try to get that running game going. I think the Aggies are going to try to take it away. Absolutely. And make that freshman quarterback. Here's where I could be advantage. I don't know. I think he's going to see some things that he hadn't seen in the first 2 weeks from Texas A&M under Mike Elko and Jay Bateman. I really do. I thought the defense was good at times, but there were some gouging plays. Robert Henry Jr. at UTSA had the big run. Utah State started the second half with a big run. I really think, again, I sometimes a broken record. It's going to be that line of scrimmage. If Love can run effectively, Carr becomes more effective. If it's a 3rd and long game, I think that's an advantage for Texas A&M on the road. I really do. Now, that's easier said than done with a runner like Jeremiah Love, if you ask me. And I don't think it was so much that they went away from him. I think it was what Miami was giving Notre Dame. But you saw CJ Carr get more and more comfortable. Like, you talk about baptism by fire against that defense, Miami on the road down there. Like, how much did he grow through those 60 minutes? I think a ton. Now, can you keep the emotion out of it now? The first home game against, the number 16 team in the country. To me, Larry, you know this, I think games are just fascinating chess matches between coaches. I really do. This is what we want to do. You're taking this away. Okay, now we have to adjust. But I would absolutely think that Notre Dame wants to get the ground game going. And I think it just opens up everything else for the Irish because the speed and the physicality. And I would think that offensive line is on notice a little bit, a tad disappointing. And it's hard to walk around for 13 days. You got to be chomping at the bit to get back on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. But I agree with you with Carr. I thought that we saw him grow during that game. I thought as a redshirt freshman, his first time out, I thought he was outstanding. Did he make mistakes? Absolutely. Will he play better? Absolutely. But for the first game out, to your point, against that team and that environment, I think the kid's going to be okay. I agree with you in terms of being a chess match. What I love is, and I just mentioned the last 2 games I watched because I'm so busy. It's hard for me to sit down and watch full games sometimes without interruption. And the great thing was being at the airport that nobody bothered me. So I just was able to watch the games. the chess match, the things that happened at halftime in both those games, Ohio State, Texas, last week, Illinois, Duke. Duke was kind of doing what they wanted offensively in the first half, and all of a sudden, in the second half, Illinois came out and totally dominated. It's the same thing with this, where we're going to see Saturday night two very good coaching staffs, two very good, very confident coaching staffs who are veteran, know what they want to do. And I'm with you. What's going to be fun is to see how they come out in the first half, and how they come out in the second half to counter what they're seeing on the field.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Here's what's different from a year ago. I think the Aggie wide receiving staff is way deeper and way more explosive, and Notre Dame's going to have to account for that. Now, their secondary, and Mike Elko talked just a couple of names off the top, and there's way more than Leonard Moore and Christian Gray, but he just when those names come to his mind quickly, they stand out. Look, he's a safety guy as well, so he knows that back end very well. But it's different now with Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver for the Aggies. And I'm going to add, you can go over the top to Ashton Bethel-Roman, and you've got Terry Bussey, not just at receiver, but the special teams as well were very good in the first 2 weeks. I'm going to say the same thing about Texas A&M as I say about Notre Dame. The running game has got to be better. And that is not just on Le'Veon Moss. That's not just on Reuben Owens and that stable. That offensive line has to be able to run. That makes Marcel Reed more effective. But he's a better passer than we have seen. I think he's got more of a command of this playbook. And that's not a shot at Marcel in the past. When Mike Elko said he knows what it takes to be QB1 in the SEC, there's a lot that goes into that. And he has accepted that. He has made some great throws. He has thrown receivers open. We've seen him go over the top as well. It's just exciting to have those guys who can break the game, and more than just one. So will Notre Dame try to take away KC? I don't know. Will they try to take away Mario? Same thing for Craver. Like, he had 17 catches last year, Mississippi State. He's got 13 already here. But he took a pounding at Mississippi State as a freshman. But now he knows what it takes. And to me, this is like a conference game. It really is, size and the speed of the two schools. I think when you get that understanding, I think that's where the growth comes. So, okay, it was all new. And then we talk about this, like the fog lifts a little bit, even in the course of the season, like you're no longer a freshman at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But I think, getting and more of an understanding. And then the longer they play together, the more that these wide receivers then know one another. Marcel trusts his offensive line. He's not going to run any chance something breaks down. It will be a designed run, but you could see him going through the progressions. Now, he did not play against Notre Dame last year, so this will be his first look going against the Irish defense. But he's got those games under his belt, not just this year, but even last year. So that's the thing. Chris Ash going to show things to him that he may not have seen either. So it's going to apply to both schools.
Absolutely. Number 16, Texas A&M at number 8, Notre Dame, and he is one of the very best in the country. They are lucky in College Station to have Andrew Monaco on the call every single weekend. Andrew, voice of the Aggies. Always good to talk with you, my friend. Enjoy this weekend. And I know we always talk soon. So until next time, have a good one.
Always enjoy it. Thank you, my friend.
All right, thanks, buddy. Andrew Monaco, once again, voice of the Texas A&M Aggies, and it is the Aggies at Notre Dame on NBC Saturday night. We appreciate our friend Andrew's time as always. Okay, it's a Sports IQ. We've got more. Keep it here.
Are you tired of your website making your business look bad? Is your current web developer dropping the ball? Let's face it, if your website isn't making you money, it's broken. Let Neon Rain create a website that turns your visitors into customers. Neon Rain has worked with hundreds of businesses across North America, building custom websites and applications with modern designs that are easy to update and work well on mobile devices. They can do it for you too. What sets Neon Rain apart? They actually deliver on their promises. Call today for a free consultation. 303-957-3092. That's Neon Rain at 303-957-3092. Or visit them at neonrain.com.
We talked briefly about NFL stadiums yesterday, and Chicago basically all but assuring that their new Dome Stadium will not be there on the lakefront on Lake Michigan, but instead out in the suburbs in Arlington Heights. And then later in the day yesterday, Denver announcing plans to build a retractable roof stadium to replace their current stadium that really isn't that old. So producer Tony, we've been talking about this, and here's what's crazy now, the big thing about domes. And to me, there are three things driving this. Super Bowls, which means a Super Bowl means a massive amount of money coming into your city for a week, right? College football playoff, same. And Final Fours, same. Chicago ain't ever going to host a Final Four. Now they have a shot. It's insane to think about. I want to get your thoughts on the sudden building of domes everywhere.
I think they're fine in certain instances, and I know that they bring in all this other money. But what you're missing, what we're going to lose, is football is an outdoor game. Yeah. I'm an old school purist, right? It happens when you're 64. You're that curmudgeonly old guy going, when we played football, we played on dirt. So yeah, that's me. I want to see football played on natural grass, not on field turf. I want to see it played outside. And look, hey, Bears fans, the Vikings went to the Super Bowl 4 times when they had an outdoor stadium. Do you know how many times the Vikings have been back since they built a dome? Yep, you got it, Larry. 0, none, zip, 0. Not too many dome teams have won the Super Bowl. The Colts did one year with Peyton Manning. The Saints did it once, when they had Drew Brees. But I think you're losing some of the magic of what football is to be played outside. I just love going back and seeing those old videos, the Jets playing at Shea Stadium and somebody makes a catch and slides across the infield in the mud.
Right.
That's football, people. That is football. Come on.
Yeah. And it's funny, we haven't talked about it. The multi-purpose stadium thing, that's gone. That is a relic. That used to be so cool. I'm with you to look and the opening shot is, we're looking live right now at the Coliseum in Oakland. And you can see that, some would put it in the outfield. Some would put it, in St. Louis, they would actually, the sections of seats behind home plate were on rollers. And the same with Washington at RFK that's now being dismantled. And they would actually roll them out to create space for the end zone. It's, those whole multi-purpose, the toilet bowl stadiums that were popular. Everyone had one back then. But don't you think, too, this is also part of the performative aspect where we are now in the billion-dollar TV contracts? And it's an athletic competition, but it's also a spectacle. It's a production. And now you're having these indoor, perfectly built, perfectly managed, and perfect temperatures, conditions, stages for this massive performance each Sunday called the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only do you have it, but like you mentioned, you're now eligible for a college football playoff game. You're now eligible for a Final Four. You're also eligible, which a lot of people don't even think or talk about is, look, if Taylor Swift wants to go on tour, she wants the biggest venues possible. If I'm going to go to Chicago, would I rather play the United Center that seats 20, 22, 23 maybe? Or am I going to go play this new stadium in Chicago that seats 80,000? Yeah. It's a lot more tickets at $100 and something a piece if there's 80,000 of them available.
Yeah.
So we know where they're going. So it really does generate revenue for these cities in the long run. So that's a good thing. But again, I wouldn't even mind a retractable. Put a retractable in there. And let's keep finding some way, roll the grass in and out like they do in Arizona so that you can still play on natural grass. And if it starts to rain, let it rain, for God's sakes.
Yeah. I read somewhere that for some reason they don't do retractables in cold weather cities because just the mechanism, it damaged it or something. So they've stopped. That's why they don't do that anymore. I think Milwaukee, the Brewers Park, still is retractable, but I was reading on that, and that's why they don't do those so I'm like, okay, well, I guess but here you go. The other piece of this too, that I think has made this a little more palatable among the traditional, NFC North, teams like Chicago now is in Cleveland, an old NFL NFC team from back before the merger, et cetera, is that Los Angeles and that glass ceiling to where it feels like it's outdoors, where before it was always the Teflon roof or there was something, you didn't have the roof. Now it's, so many of these we're talking about in St. Louis, no longer an NFL city. That was one of those that had one back in 2010 when they had the Rams were still there. Now it's a great venue to watch a game, watch a sporting event, but it's so antiquated because there are no windows. We're now, Dallas has windows, Minnesota, Atlanta. When you talk about it, so the new stadiums coming in 2010, there were 9 dome stadiums. By 2031, when Denver opens theirs, there will be 15 out there. And that's not including Philadelphia that wants one. They've talked about that they want one as well. So, but to your point, it's rare to see a dome team win a Super Bowl. Will that change with all these changes coming up? We will see. But we do know we're going to see these other Super Bowls, college football playoff championships, Final Fours in some cities we have never seen. But Chicago hasn't hosted one since, I think, the 50s. I think that Bill Russell and the Dons won their final title, maybe 57, if I'm not mistaken, in Evanston. We did this earlier back in the spring on Sports IQ. We'll see what happens. It's a new phase. Get on board and leave your coat at home. Moment of All is up next.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News & World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-613-8053. 800-613-8053. 800-613-8053. That's 800-613-8053.
Okay, time now for a moment of awe. And on this date, back in 1960, September 10th, at the Rome Olympics, Africa got its first ever Olympic gold medal. It was Ethiopia's Abibi Bikila, winning the marathon in 2 hours, 15 minutes, 16 seconds. And he did it running barefoot. Africa's first gold medal, and did so in amazing fashion. And here we go. What are we, 65 years later, still in awe of his achievements. Hey, appreciate Kevin Brockway stopping by, Andrew Monaco as well, and you. It's a Sports IQ. We're halfway through the week. Let's go out and make it a great Wednesday. Say hi to somebody you don't know. Make their day, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Sports IQ.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at Sports IQ LS. We'll see you next time.